Friends, good afternoon. You are on the Minfin channel, and today we are talking about crypto projects, blockchain projects, financial payment systems, and innovative financial products, together with Dmitry Ivanov, who is the founder of Casator Corporation. This is an American company that specializes in innovative financial products. Dmitry, welcome.
Good day.
Good afternoon. Yes, today we have a telebridge between Ukraine and America. It's absolutely right that America and Ukraine should be online together, should be brotherly strategic partners, especially considering the current situation. So we are very glad to see you. By the way, where are you right now? In which city in America?
I'm currently in New York, right next to Times Square.
Great, Dmitry. If you could, please take 2 minutes, boy, to briefly tell us about your company and what is the main financial product your company offers today.
All right. So our company was registered more than 5 years ago in Delaware as a C corporation. That's kind of a standard for startups in the US, one of them. So what are we developing? It's a social crypto platform. It's basically a social network with an integrated financial system. It's more or less the same thing that Facebook once tried to do with their Libra project about 3 years ago. When they launched it, I said it would never take off, and it never did. And we were the ones who made it happen. So we have a social network in it. Every user has their own crypto wallet, and users can manage their funds worldwide in just a few seconds with no fees, securely and transparently.
Awesome. And what is the correct name of this social network?
It's called Slade. This comes from a common expression in English, clean slate, meaning to start from scratch. So we have a social network built from a clean slate.
Interesting. Slade. Friends, check it out online. Slade. By the way, how can someone become a member of your social network? How can you register there?
Well, among our social network is invite only for now. So you need an invite. I don't know if Minfin is already registered or not. If not, we would be very happy if you registered, and then you would have your own invite, which you could use to invite all your users and subscribers to register in our social network, for example.
Interesting. I think we'll leave a registration link in the comments with your permission. By the way, I'm also interested in registering myself because as far as I understand, this is similar to what Telegram is trying to do right now. So they are integrating a payment system into every account. But by the way, I tried to link my crypto wallet to my Telegram account last week and it didn't work out. Something in the settings made it difficult to do. Is it difficult to do this with your system, or is it easy? So what are the steps?
I'll put it this way. In crypto, everything is complicated in general. Well, yes, that's the thing. But a lot of people are already working on pretty much the same topic. So it's some kind of social network with a financial system or connected to some blockchain. But, for us, all of this is a bit forward-looking because we are actually the only social network in the world that is ready for the launch of central bank digital currencies globally. For example, starting with the digital hryvnia and the digital hryvnia. Once it is launched, then everything will be very simple.
Great. Where in the world are digital currencies actually used? Can you give examples? We hope Ukraine will also become a leader in these technologies, but where is this working in practice right now?
Look, More than 100 countries around the world are currently developing and are at some stage of even implementing digital currencies. This has already been launched in China, for example, but then that's not really an example for us because China is a very unique country, so to speak, and everything there runs on a closed distributed ledger, well, just as you would expect in a country like China. That's not a model for us to follow. We believe that in Ukraine, for example, it will be stellar. That's the official, and also, so to speak, conformed story. The National Bank has finally started talking about it, so they are quite close to launching it. In some other countries, it has also been launched, but I wouldn't say it was successful either because everyone is trying. I mean, well, the government, so to speak, is trying to do all this in some kind of hidden way on closed blockchains or closed distributed ledgers. I don't like that. I believe that all of this should be well transparent and, for example, all I would say expenditures or the movement of state funds should be completely transparent. And if someone somewhere tries to steal a bit of money for themselves, this should be detected, so to speak, and that person should go to jail. Well, that's how I see it. So actually, there have already been launches. I wouldn't say they were very successful. I believe the first truly successful launch will be in Ukraine, the digital hryvnia on the Stellar distributed ledger.
Very interesting. Tell us, Dimitro, how will this work? Let's imagine, for example, that on January 1st, 2026, the digital hryvnia is launched and we add your social network, Slate. How will this work for me as a user? What will I be able to do?
Look, the most important thing here is that thus both the digital hryvnia and our platform are built on the same technology. That is, it's the Stellar distributed ledger. It's a very fast platform with minimal fees. It's developed by an American company, which is also a non-profit. This is very important because the vast majority of crypto projects, so to speak, are for profit now, meaning they're purely about the money. Yes, and who owns them and where they're registered is often hard to find out. Some islands or something like that. Well, that's not serious. So on the same platform, when the digital hryvnia is launched, it will automatically be available to almost every one of our users the very next day, because it's simply another asset on this technology issued by the National Bank. So it will be very easy to manage funds, for example, through Daya, because Daya will, of course, have a crypto wallet. In fact, it's already there. And it's very simple. No one says that it's on Stellar. Actually, I believe that this program, for example, the winter support program in Ukraine, as well as this national cashback is essentially a test of this system. No one talks about it, but I suspect that this is exactly...
And where is the crypto wallet in action? Which section is it in?
Well, you need to go somewhere into the services, and everything works there.
What is it called? Is it just wallet or what? Money?
No. It's either the national cashback section or the winter support. You need to go in there.
So the national cashback and that 1,000 hryvnias that were distributed, that's basically already a test of the national format crypto wallet, right?
Of course, that's not officially, that's not stated at all. That's my personal opinion, I would say. I'm almost certain that this is just a test before the actual pilot launch for public access.
Interesting. So when the digital hryvnia is launched, your social network will officially interact at the level of, say, registries, right? It will accept this digital hryvnia, and essentially it will become an official means of payment. So it will be possible to pay everywhere, right, with this digital hryvnia, in any stores, car dealerships, and so on.
Of course, because in fact, the digital hryvnia, or more broadly, CBDC, central bank digital currency, is simply a new form of money. Because a long time ago, we used to pay with silver or gold coins, then came fiat money, that is paper money. Then there were wire transfers, for example, the whole banking system, then electronic money like PayPal, and then, of course, crypto, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. And CBDC is simply the next step in the evolution of money. It is absolutely inevitable. Back when we were just launching our project, all the crypto people told me I was just an idiot for building everything on Stellar, because at that time, Stellar had no money, no people, nothing. But I was looking into the future and I understood who was behind all this movement. And I decided to prepare for it, for the future global financial system that will come after the old system collapses.
That's an interesting point. And what do you think, having lived in America for some time, do you think the same future awaits America, meaning the United States? Specifically, I mean an official digital currency. And if so, when do you think it will be launched there?
That's a very interesting point, because the United States is a huge country that actually consists of 50 other countries. For example, there are the Republicans here. They don't like the topic of CBDC. In some states, CBDC is simply officially banned. But, of course, no one will tell you anything about this. But in the States, again, this is just my personal opinion. In the States, CBDC already exists, and people are already using it. They just don't know that they're doing it. I won't say which currency it is. And again, that's just my opinion. But, I'm very good at predicting the future. I've done it successfully many times, and we'll see that I was right in this case as well.
Dimitro, what was your last financial prediction that came true? Please tell us something like that. Can you give an example? What did you predict?
Well, actually, the digital hryvnia on Stellar. So when we started working on all this, it was a long time ago, 4 years ago, maybe even more. And back then, there was no talk of Stellar at all.
At that time, the National Bank wasn't even discussing digital hryvnia. I remember that in 2019 and 2020, no one was even talking about the digital hryvnia yet.
There was a small pilot project. It's even hard to call it a pilot project. In reality, it was just some kind of test on a closed, distributed ledger. Nothing came of it. Of course, that was a long time ago. But really, the fact that it's on Stellar is very good, both for Ukraine and for us, for all Ukrainians. Because if it were on Solana or some other platform, I mean, that would just be ridiculous. It's impossible. It's impossible to launch a digital currency on anything other than Stellar, or maybe 2 other distributed ledgers. Similar ones are Ripple, XRP Ledger, or Hyperledger. But still, and tell us.
Why is Stellar better? Not everyone in our audience will know what Stellar actually is, and why, in your opinion, such a large project can only be done on it.
That's a complicated question. There are several answers to that. First of all, technologically, yes, Stellar is very fast. It is capable of processing a huge number of transactions, and the fees are negligible. For example, the cost of a single transaction fee is about 0.0001. That's 100,000ths of a dollar. So it's a laughable amount of money. For example, at Slate, we just pay all the fees for all users, and it costs us almost nothing.
Super.
So that's the first point. It's secure. This technology is very safe. Stellar has never been hacked. And actually, if you, for example, read Encrypted's investigation about Stellar, it's a huge article, and you'll see that this is a completely different story. It's a corporate story. There are people from Google, Facebook, the serious people, not just crypto enthusiasts, the fun kind. So for them, their reputation and what they do is extremely important. There are also a few other reasons. Why Stellar? Well, here it's a bit...
But you believe in this technology?
Of course, absolutely. Because I have an idea of who is behind this technology, behind this company. Of course, you'll never hear this anywhere. But if I'm right...
And will you tell us today?
Well, I can say, of course, because, all right. Look, there's a wonderful country. It's called Great Britain.
Yes.
Once upon a time, it ruled half the world. That's it. And now I think they want to continue this feast because, well, those are very special people there, I would say.
They want to maintain their financial influence on a global scale through such global technologies.
Yes, you understand. Well, once, let me brag a little more. I mean, I said a lot of things. For example, once I made a post on Facebook, it was a bit inappropriate, to be honest. I tagged the president's office, Zelensky, someone else, Boronyakov, Fedorov, and our Ministry of Digital Transformation, where I said that things need to be done very directly. That's it. A week later, Zelensky was personally at Stellar. Basically, he went to the States with his team, and they signed a memorandum there. And from that moment, I believe that's when everything started rolling with Stellar. Well, that's how it is.
So they read your message. Is that what you want to say?
I don't know. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Who knows? Yeah. It was interesting. Then, about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6, I said that everyone was preparing for wars. Not just war, but wars. In other words, soon everyone will be fighting. And when things start to improve, in Ukraine, a total chaos will break out all over the world. Then we'll see this very soon, that friends...
I made a prediction.
Let's record this prediction from Dmitro. When peace comes to Ukraine and we start working on reconstruction projects and improving our economy, other countries will start having their own troubles. So we've noted that Dmitro, it'll be on YouTube, which means, YouTube hands don't burn. Great, no, that's great. So next, I'll throw something else your way. Look, about 13 years ago, I wrote that all currencies would burn anyway. That's almost a direct quote. What I meant was global hyperinflation of currencies. It has already begun. Well, but It's not quite obvious yet because the numbers aren't big enough. But our beloved Donald Trump is doing everything he can for this. For now. I mean, all these tariff wars. Right now, they're planning to just throw cash around to people in huge amounts. So far, it's just talk. But in reality, the hidden emission of the dollar is also moving full steam ahead. During the coronavirus era, they printed about $3 trillion and scattered them from helicopters as well. There you go. So I think, a long time ago in civilized countries, the church was separated from the state. And I believe the time has come to separate the state from money printing, but because they're going to mess it up. Seriously. People will lose the purchasing power of your money increases very quickly. They won't know. How? Well, to save them.
To preserve their savings and what to do with those savings, how to grow them, or at least, if not grow them, then at least maintain the purchasing power of the dollar or the hryvnia. It doesn't matter which currency. So the question is, Dimitro, what about a person who has $50,000 sitting somewhere in a bank, in a safe deposit box or at home, and taking into account all these trends, hyperinflation and so on? What will happen to this money in 5 years and to the value of the dollar in general? The world's #1 currency. What is your forecast for 4 or 5 years from now? What will happen?
4 or 5 years is quite a significant period, especially considering that processes are now accelerating. What do I want to say? First of all, this is not financial advice, but money and even dollars, especially dollars, will depreciate very quickly. And, I won't recommend exactly what to do because there are no universal tips here. There simply can't be, since everyone's situation is completely different. But what I do want to say is that you need to look for ways to ensure that these funds lose as little purchasing power as possible. And here are a few more practical tips. That is, in my opinion, keeping money in the bank is too risky because we all understand that this has happened more than once, both in Ukrainian banks and even in American banks. In other words, people have simply lost their money. What can I do myself? I can tell you what I personally do. So I keep my money in USDS. It's a type of stable coin pegged to the dollar. At the moment, it's truly the most transparent, fully legitimate, highly regulated, and exceptionally clean one, so to speak. And that's the first point. The second point is that I keep them only on Stellar and nowhere else. Not on any exchange, not in any other wallet except for my own cold wallet. So I believe this is actually a very good approach in terms of the security of my savings, because if you keep your funds on an exchange, then they're not your funds, no keys, no coins. That's a saying in the crypto world. And it's absolutely true. Something happens, someone gets hacked. Bybit was recently hacked for $1.5 billion. And there will be many more cases like this. Don't keep significant funds on centralized exchanges. Never.
That's an interesting perspective.
For myself, I've decided only Stellar, only USDS, and that's it. And also, I want to do a bit more fortune telling just for a minute.
Interesting. Go ahead.
Yes. There's such a thing as a DPEG, meaning the detachment of a stable coin from the currency it's pegged to. This has happened a lot with USDT and with other stable coins that are no longer with us. They died. I think that with USDC, specifically with USDC, there will be a situation of reverse DPEG. This is when USDC will be worth more than the US dollar. That's it.
At what point in time?
No, I'm just...
After what? What has to happen for such a disparity in value to occur?
All right. Let me put it this way. I'll tell you this. I believe that USDC is actually the central bank digital currency of the United States. Of course, they will never admit it. They say, we're just a stable coin. But I think that's it. It's the Federal Reserve's digital currency of the future, right? And how do you make NOLA Americans rush to USDC? How do you do that? It's actually very simple. You just need to make it so that at some point USDC becomes more valuable than the dollar. It's a little more expensive there, by about 0.5%, and then by 1%, and then by 1.5%, and then by 3%. You see? And everyone will rush into USDC. Everyone will switch to USDC on their own. No one would need to be pushed into it. Well, it's just a technology, a way to do it. How to make it so that everyone rushes into USDC? That's what I just predicted. Great. This will be on YouTube, and someday we'll see it happen.
Interesting, Dimitro. Thank you very much. By the way, dear subscribers, audience, this is very interesting information. You won't hear this kind of thing just anywhere, especially from someone who has been working in this market professionally for a long time. And I know you have some kind of crowdfunding project. Dimitro, could you tell us what this project is about and whether it's possible to invest in it or not? What opportunities are there? Please tell us.
Yes. Well, actually, we've had a company in the United States for a very long time. And for almost the last 4 years, I haven't sold a single share of my company. And I'm very proud of that because I don't lose voting power in my company. That's great for me as a founder. But at the same time, we need more money now to prepare as well as possible for the launch of the digital hryvnia in Ukraine. And in general, for the moment when major social networks like Meta and others will face serious problems. In case anyone doesn't know, Facebook already has 18 billion in debt, dollars. $18 billion.
On the operational level, do you mean they're running at a loss? Or what kind of debt is that?
They've already issued bonds twice. Once for 10 billion and the second time for 8. We should check, maybe they've issued something else as well. You see, huge social networks are not just massive assets or opportunities, they also come with huge problems. And as soon as a financial crisis hits, well, it could bury someone, especially since in some countries, Facebook and other social networks will simply be banned. Because the closer we get to a situation where there are wars everywhere, the more social networks will be banned around the world. Well, that's how it is. So, how do you invest in our company? It's very simple. There is an equity crowdfunding platform called WeFunder.
Yes.
This opportunity is so simple. I was honestly shocked. Compared to crypto, it's unbelievably easy. You just register on WeFunder, go to our page, and you put in something like $500 as your commitment, meaning you want to invest $500 in this company.
Yes.
At that moment, the money is charged from your card and instantly returned back. It's just your commitment that you want to invest.
Then what happens next?
A bit later, when we consider that our, financial goals have been achieved, meaning, for example, we've reached a certain limit, let's say $500, that's the total amount we want to raise. So we reach that goal and we say, all right, now you can actually confirm your commitment. At that point, the money is debited and the process of formalizing this investment begins. I want to clarify that this is not about crypto. You know, this process is very highly regulated, and not just by anyone, but by the US, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. It's a very serious organization.
Yes, they have a lot of requirements and bureaucracy. The SEC is really, yes,
Very.
SEC people are intimidating.
That's a serious organization. Yes, intimidating people, I agree, but that's good for investors because the risks are minimal. I mean, absolutely everything, and everyone is checked there, the company, the owners, how many shares each person has, who all these people are, who the previous investors were. Everything is thoroughly checked there.
And what are people investing their money in? What kind of business model? And how will they earn their dividends by investing in this project?
All right. Look, if we're talking about a startup, then it's not really about dividends here. If you were buying shares of Coca-Cola or Apple or some other company that pays dividends, that would be the case. But we're a startup. We're small, and the main
Capitalization.
value,
Yes.
of course. So right now we're trying to, raise funds based on a valuation of $35 million. If and when we are worth as much as Twitter is now, then for every 1,000 hryvnias, $1,000, whoever invests in us now will get $1 million. Well, that's just as an example.
Potentially $1,000 could turn into a very, very large sum of money, like $500,000 or 700 or $1 million, if your capitalization grows. And why would it grow? So what will make your business model scalable? Will you become the number one social network for digital currencies? Or, what exactly is the scaling potential?
Well, look, yes. If we're talking, for example, about scaling, then over the last 4 months, we've grown from 80,000 registered users to 500,000. It's not much, but it's very fast. And that was just a test. It was a test.
And where did they come from? Which market?
Oh, it's a lot of countries. We had Japanese users join us. They really love us. They're the ones coming in quickly now because they want not only our token, but also shares in our company. And there was Vietnam, Egypt.
Interesting.
A lot of Africa joined as well, of course. Europe, the States, Asia, and so on. A very diverse audience has joined, so to speak, because, actually, look, we don't position ourselves, okay, we're a Ukrainian startup. We're an American company, but we don't position ourselves as a Ukrainian social network. No, that's not possible. We've already been through all of that, NIMSES, and there have been a lot of so-called Ukrainian social networks. But we are a global social network. And of course, that's your especially when we launch as a decentralized social network, and particularly if we move you to an open source model, it will really be like starting out on Mars, not just the moon. That will be extremely rapid scaling.
So the point is, the growth in the value of the company that you are essentially developing right now, and when people invest through this crowdfunding service, are they getting a share in which company exactly? Is it your main company, Casator Corporation, or specifically this product, Slade? How does this work legally?
No. So, the product, Slade, is simply a product of our company. People are investing directly in the company. They will own a certain number of our shares. That's it.
Okay. At a valuation of $35 million as of today, right?
Yes. When we go public, for example, and become a public company, they will be able to sell these shares directly on the market. And why will the value of the shares increase? That's a very interesting question. It's a complex one. And actually, the price of shares goes up when people buy them a lot. It's like the price of any product. It rises if demand is high, and it falls if there is no demand. I believe there will come a moment when people will be a bit shocked by what's happening. They're already shocked, yes. But this is just the beginning. Seriously, understand this. This is just the beginning of a global upheaval when everything will be burning on fire. There will be war somewhere, famine somewhere else. In Africa, for example, well, that's how it is. And people will just try to preserve their money because it will be losing its purchasing power very quickly. And of course, a startup like ours, which will have about 5 main monetization methods, not just one, like Facebook, for example. That is, well, Facebook, if we're talking about Facebook, it's micro-targeted advertising, and that's about 98% of all of Facebook's, or rather Meta Corporation's, total revenue.
Well, yes, advertising.
So we believe that in the future, in the near future, you can't rely on just one method of monetization. We need to have about 5 to 7 different ways to monetize. This will include a content monetization commission, for example. There will actually be several of them. Next, we'll have our own launchpad, and we'll be launching tokens for some very interesting projects there. And I won't say which ones, but that's for later.
You'll tell us about that in the next episode.
Yes, no problem. We will have 10% of the capitalization of the emission of each token that is launched on our launchpad. These will be huge amounts of money. Everything else from our side will be free of charge. We will also have a premium subscription, just a basic premium subscription, like on Telegram, Twitter, or Facebook. But I believe our premium features will be better than some others.
Interesting.
There will be 2 or 3 more things.
Dimitro, probably the last question for today, and then we'll wrap up our meeting. Right now, for example, Bursa, people are investing money in your company, in this startup. All venture capitalists are always interested in the question of exit. So when will the exit be? You said during the IPO, but when is that planned? Well, according to your calculations, according to your business model, when is it actually possible? In what time frame? After how many years?
All right. If we're talking about an IPO, it's 2 to 3 years, about there.
That's quite fast and aggressive, I would say.
Yes, because at some point we're just going to take off very quickly. Right now, nobody knows anything about us at all. We were in stealth mode, and for good reason. We were preparing, we were working. We actually have our own social network with a built-in financial system. That's a very significant achievement. That's how I would put it.
Very few can boast about this among global players, not to mention local ones.
You know, Twitter has been talking about building something like this for years, and there's still nothing there so far, seriously. Well, that's how it is. Look, an IPO is just one of the exit options. Maybe someday someone will buy us. An acquisition?
That would take a bit longer. You'd have to wait 5 or 6 years.
Who knows? Actually, I'm not planning any kind of acquisition. I don't want to sell all this because I want to be the richest person in the world. That's quite a statement. Right there. So I think an IPO is really possible, not sure, in 2 or 3 years. It's absolutely realistic.
Interesting. Friends, let's sum up. Today we spoke with the founder of Casata Corporation, originally from Texas, Delaware. And today Dmitry Ivanov Bito is joining us from New York. We talked about modern innovative financial systems, shared the interesting forecasts and insights about digital currencies, both in Ukraine and in America. A few intriguing predictions and prophecies from Dmytro. We'll see if they come true. We also discussed the investment opportunities in Dmytro's company's new financial product, Slate, a social network with an integrated payment system. And in general, we talked about the security of money, the security of financial systems, and what will happen to money. How much will it actually lose its value? A very interesting conversation. Dmitry, thank you very much for honestly, openly, and with insider knowledge, telling us about your impressions and expectations of the financial crises and dynamic events that await us. Truly, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the conversation. This is our first conversation. I think it won't be the last because things are going to get even more interesting.
Absolutely. Thank you. This was Oleksandr Bondarenko and Dmytro Ivanov, and this is the Minfin channel. Stay tuned. Work is all the best.